How's it going, guys? Welcome back to another training plan review, I guess, something like that, or overview, training plan overview. Let's say that. So about a year ago, I made a video about Zwift's Build Me Up training plan, and people seem to get a lot of use out of it. So I thought I would do another one for this year. I'm not doing the same plan, obviously, but yeah, I mean, people seem to find it helpful, like my experience with that plan. So I wanted to do the same thing about the training that I was doing this off season, and that is Zwift's CritCrusher training plan. And yeah, so here is kind of a quick overview of, I mean, the plan as a whole, and then also, I'll compare it to the Build Me Up one because that's the only experience that I really have with the other training plans. So do a quick comparison, and then kind of talk about the plan itself, and then my experience with it. So let me hop over to the other scene. Okay, and yeah, so the Build Me Up plan last year that I did was like 12, 13-ish weeks. There's like a pre-week, but it was mainly like an endurance type tempo focus. So it was kind of a base fitness plan. I talked about, I'll link the other video up here somewhere, but I linked I did like an FTP test before and after, and saw nice gains and things like that. But I was mainly after just like a base fitness plan, and yeah, I mean it fit the bill. It's a lot of endurance, zone 2, zone 3 type work with a little bit of zone 4 kind of sprinkled in, but not a whole lot of the upper zone stuff. So just a quick overview. So it was 12 weeks, average like 4.5-ish hours per week, and then a TSS, or like a load of about 396 per week, and it's 52 workouts total. So yeah, you can see the kind of the breakdown of it. So the 0 doesn't count because that's like an FTP test, so like don't pay attention to those red bars there, but you can see a lot of the focus is on the first, like zone 1, 2, and 3, with a little bit of 4 in there, but it's a lot of like endurance and tempo efforts. So yeah, but I mean, I saw some nice nice base fitness gains with that. So fast forward to this year, yeah, I feel like I had a fair amount of base fitness going in, so I chose the CritCrusher training plan on Zwift, and it is just a quick overview of the plan itself. So it was 8 weeks. It averages like 4 workouts per week, and only about 4 hours, just over 4 hours per week, and then a TSS of about 216 per week average. So 31 workouts total, and you can see just in like the distribution of the zones that there's instead of being like zone 1, 2, 3 heavy, it's a bit more like smile shape. So there's definitely a focus on like zones 4 and 5, even though there's a small percentage, but it's much more than the Build Me Up plan. So you see, obviously, zone 1 is like your recovery. So in between intervals and things, there's a lot of zone 1. So that's why that's dominating. But you see in the upper weeks, like zones 5 or weeks 5 and week 6, you can see this zone 5 sort of popping up a bit. So that it sort of shifts to those upper zone intervals as it goes along, and yeah, I mean, I think it's, overall, the plan kind of does what it sets out to do, with a little like caveat in there. So so their description, it says it's designed for the competitive cyclist. It does mention that you should have a pretty good foundation before you start the plan. So if a pretty good like endurance, base fitness to your legs before you actually start the plan, because there's a focus on like the top end power. It doesn't really focus on any endurance, and I'll get into that in a second. But focus on top end, and it says for the racer, you should do it 4 to 8 weeks before your like main race. Focus on precise physiological tools for race day. Very scientific. My experience with the plan. So let me flip over to my intervals, intervals.icu. And by the way, I just found this kind of website or training tool, and it's pretty impressive. I'm imagining this is kind of like what like a Trainer Row, Training Peaks kind of thing does. But anyway, so I'm not going to get into that now. I might make another video about it. But this is the layout of the 8 weeks for my when I was doing the plan. So the plan itself, they say it's an advanced plan. The Build Me Up plan was classified as an intermediate. Advanced maybe in terms of the intensity of the workout. So the workouts are a lot more intense because there's like upper zones. But for me, it really wasn't enough. That 4 hours per week really wasn't enough riding. It's 4 workouts per week, and the first like 3 or 4 weeks do a little bit of like zone 2, zone 3, and then they pop up into the like zone 4s and zone 5s for some intervals. But it's basically the same layout of workouts for the first few weeks. So you get what they call strength training workout, and then you do a like kind of zone 2, zone 3 interval workout, and then you get like upper level workouts. They call them, I think, hill reps. So you go up, and then you get a recovery ride. It's the same setup. And then in the last few weeks, you do some like really high zone, like max effort type intervals, and lots of them. So like they call it like micro bursts, so like big numbers, so like 10, 20, 30 type intervals for very short periods of time. But for me, I didn't really feel like it was enough riding. So like I said, the plan itself is 4 intervals or 4 workouts per week, and it totals 32 hours for the 8 weeks. So it averages about 4 hours a week. For me, if we just look at my totals for those 8 weeks, I ended up with 63 total workouts, a couple of like warm-ups and things for races, for a total of almost 50 hours. So I did quite a bit more than the plan asked for, just because it felt like that was needed for me. So these little red dots here are races. So what I intended to do was add in either a Zwift race or a real life race. And when I say race, maybe just training races and things. So my like A race was way over here the last week of the plan. But I supplemented each week with either a Zwift race or like a training race as it got a bit warmer. So and I think that really helped, because you can see this blue line here is my what they just say fitness. So you can see, it is increasing as you go along in the plan, which is great. And my fatigue is up, which is also what you want to see when you're building that fitness. And then the last week you want to see, I guess ideally like these cross like on your A race day, I think. that's the idea. But yeah, I mean, it kind of puts you in that like you're more fresh for your race. So your fatigue and your fitness are crossed. You can see my fitness like sort of peters out just a little bit that last week, because that last week of the plan is very very light in terms of mileage and things, so just to keep your legs fresh for that. So I think without my supplementing races, I don't think this would be enough. So like I don't think my fatigue would be up. I think it'd be very close to the fitness line. So I really don't think I'd be seeing as much gains. I also think that the workouts that they give you, although they're good, they don't really simulate a race environment quite as much as actually like doing a Zwift race or a real life race. Those intervals are excellent, but the like complete recovery in between intervals isn't something that you get in a lot of races. So it might be a little bit. You might need a little bit more in order to like be ready for your first crit race. And so that being said, the question is does it prepare you for your first crit race? Because it does, it is designed to say CritCrusher. So like, I think a lot of people will go into it saying like, all right, I want to do my first crit race in 8 weeks. Like, let me do this plan and I'll be ready. I don't think that will quite do it. You definitely need that base fitness, because there's only a handful of workouts in the plan that are over an hour. Most of them are an hour or less. Most crit races are going to be less than an hour anyway, but you really need that base fitness before you go into the plan. But it does give you, I think, some supplements to like your endurance rides. So for me, I did a practice races, but if you're throwing in like an endurance ride once or twice a week, a couple of hours on the weekend, something like that, I think that this plan is a good like during the week method for you to get that like upper level zones into your legs. So does it prepare you for first crit race? It definitely helps. You can take a look. I'll link a couple of my my early season crit races. My A race was the Philly Riverfront race, and I didn't do so great in that. My numbers were actually okay. I had some good power, so I think the plan probably helped with that. Conditions weren't great. It was wet and kind of gross. But fitness wise, like I felt pretty good. I think it helps. But I think you need to do more. Obviously, there's a lot more that goes into crit racing other than fitness. I'm not an expert crit racer by any means. This is only my second year doing this, but I think fitness is probably only something like 60, 70, 80% ish of what goes into a race. So there's a lot more that goes into that rather than just fitness. But I will say, if your fitness is there, the other things are easier to focus on. Overall, like, the plan's good. There's a couple of comments about it. So in the Build Me Up plan, there's a lot of instruction. So it tells you like different cadence changes, and it like talks, or it doesn't talk to you, but it adds a little description each each change in the intensity or the cadence and things like that. The CritCrusher plan does not do that. It's really only, sorry, switch it back over to me. It's really only doing that in like a couple of the later workouts. which is weird because in the descriptions of a lot of the workouts, it tells you about like cadence changes and it says like watch out for these, but it actually doesn't say anything about it, which is kind of strange. But I guess maybe that's, it talks about the being an advanced plan, so maybe it's just that like you should be able to do that yourself, I guess. Yeah, that's my only guess. It's not really a big deal. You can manually change those things, but it would be nice to have that little reminder, or like the cadence target, like the build me up said, like you want to increase your cadence for this section. But anyway, so that's just my little thought. But overall, like I did not take an FTP test like before and after, just because my goal was not to increase my FTP this training block. I really just wanted to focus on like shorter burst efforts, that kind of thing, and more strength, I guess, for me. And I think it did that. It's hard for me to like quantify those numbers, but it was, it is what it is. So it says competitive cyclist. I think if you're a competitive cyclist, you're going to need to bike more than 4 hours a week. I would not. I'm barely in that competitive cyclist category, and I needed more than 4 hours per week. So I would imagine that anybody that's much more advanced than me is going to need a lot more. But like I said, a couple of in like longer endurance rides on the weekends, and you can sprinkle these in during the week, and that's probably what you would want to do. And definitely do some bike handling and things like that if you're doing your first crit race. Bike handling drills, bump drills, and then kind of learning how to hang out in a pack and be comfortable. That's definitely key, and something that I am not very good at. So I hope that this was also useful. I know it's not quite as numbered based as last year, but like I said, it's hard to quantify what I was after with this plan. I think it accomplished my goals, but I definitely needed to supplement. So hopefully you enjoyed. Thanks for watching all that, and you can go ahead and subscribe to see my more recent like in-person races, because the season has started. So I will catch you next time. Thank you.